Learning to ride a bike when I was little was just a tad different from what they do now, because now the little ones learn how to balance just by pushing their feet, and they don't even have any pedals that they have to work with. But there still are those that are learning the way I did, maybe at age 4 or 5. We would have a little bicycle, and we'd have a parent or an older sibling that would hold one hand on the back seat and another on the handlebar and kind of run alongside of us to guide us and make sure that we were making forward progress, but that we were staying on the path. Then I remember the day when I had my parents bring home a real treat for me, training wheels for my bicycle. And I remember the security it gave me and the balance. You kind of had a little bit of latitude to rock back and forth as you're trying to learn, and you had to be able to turn, right? But how exciting that was when the day came when I could drop one of the training wheels, and I only had the one. And I remember I would lean kind of to that side of the bike until one day I had the confidence to take that off and just on my own was able to steer. But the most important thing was those handlebars, right? Just making sure that you held onto it and steadied it, because if you didn't, the bike went wherever that front wheel was pointed, right? Well, there is a training wheel for thoughts that's even more effective than those training wheels were for the bicycle. And it's not only an amazing tool to guide your thoughts, but it's an amazing tool to fast track neuroplasticity. And that, of course, is to be able to carve out new paths for the positive thoughts to go. Yep. Today is all about balancing your thoughts, staying on track, steering your mind, shifting your mindset. Okay, we're going to use some biking analogies, but we're going to bring back the training wheels for a new and improved and powerful way to get that mental traction we want, to grab the handlebars of life and steer it where you want to go. It's all about thoughts, training wheels. Growing up, I really didn't give any thoughts to my thoughts. And it didn't really dawn on me that there were lots of different sources out there that were playing on how I think. I just thought the way I thought was reality. I didn't know that there was an opportunity to not think the way I was thinking. And now we live in communication overload mecca with the overarching theme of persuasion. And now, after years and years of studying the brain, I realized that one of the most valuable resources that we have is our neural network. It's that ability to record and recall information. And if I have a product, service, or idea, oh man, I want you to remember me because I want you to come back to me. That's why there's a cacophony of information coming to us, because if I can get in your neural network, because if I can get you to remember me, if I can get you connected to my service or my idea, whatever that might be, then I have someone that has me in their thoughts, in their subconscious, to be able to pull out at any given time. That means there's negative and there is positive influence out there, right? But we have to be able to discern which one of those are for our better good and which ones are actually just leading us off the path to someplace else, to be able to either waste our time or take us into a thought pattern that does not serve us. But when we evaluate where the majority of the thought patterns come from, they literally come from that huge database that's down in our body, our neural network, with those little teeny, tiny 100 billion neurons that are recording everything that we see, hear, taste, touch, smell, and imagine. And with everything that's recording, you wish that it would be all truth, right? But the truth of the matter is, there is no truth filter that it has to go through. There's nothing that rejects the thought and says, oh, that's not true. Don't believe that. It just assimilates all this information. And so it's down inside of our body, ready for retrieval at any given time to give us information about how we should feel about things, what we believe because of life's experiences, how to keep us safe. And not all of it is truth. Let me give you an example. You might say, oh man, why am I so worthless? Your subconscious is going to pull up some evidence for you. Well, remember when this happened? We'll remember that. We'll remember that. We'll remember that. You go, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm so lonely. But the better questions we should be asking ourselves, always the quality of the question is the best, is what makes me so amazing? And the brain can go down there and it can retrieve those things also. So we have to be careful about what we're asking because it's just a database and it's full of information of life experiences that you had. And for example, I look at my life through my life experiences. That's the lens I have. So I'm looking at life like this. And you may be looking at life like this because of your life experiences. Yours are very different from mine. And maybe someone else is looking at life like this. And when you think about it, it's really interesting to think that we can even combine together and cooperate. But there's so many similarities, as many as there are dissimilarities. But here's the thing, your thoughts, your triggers are going to be very different from mine because your life experiences are different from mine. But bottom line is there are some tried and true tools that we can utilize to be able to literally put training wheels on our thoughts. And it doesn't matter what kind of life experience you have. And it even doesn't matter how down in the thought process you are, because these are the things that are going to help get you back in the saddle, get you on your bike, put your hands squarely on the handlebar, and give you that momentum to be able to pedal and go forward. This is a time of great persuasion, and those loudest voices out there are the convincing ones. And they want to sway the way they think, that we feel, and we react. And that's kind of the way it goes, right? Everything starts with a thought. We think something, and then when we attach a feeling, which comes from our heart, when the heart and the mind are connected, then it becomes more of a belief. But when we attach feelings to something, that directs our actions, and our actions are literally the destiny where we're going to end up. There's so much mental energy for the day that is consumed with things that are worry and despair and fear and anguish and depression and anxiety. When that happens, we are usurping some of our most valuable commodities, and that is time, our mental space, and our physical energy. And they're all connected. And I would dare say one of the most important skills that we can have is that ability to learn how to steer our thoughts. Let me repeat that, how to steer and control our thoughts. But here's what's so cool, when we can actually realize that when we embrace the fact that we have the power to control our thoughts, that switches us to a place of empowerment, from disempowerment to empowerment, and from victimhood to creator. When we recognize the fact that the way we think isn't in someone else's hands, and sure, there are influences out there, when we realize right here that the empowerment happens, we step into being the architect of our thoughts. And even when this or this or this or this has happened in my life, I can change it, and I can grab those proverbial handlebars on my bike I'm riding, and I can actually shift gears. Oh, and I can break that negative thinking, and I can change it right away. Now, can you see the value in that? Can you see the value in living in a day and age now and being at any moment be able to shift gears, be able to shift your mood? If someone came riding into your home with muddy tires and tracking it all over your house, you would be livid, right? And we'd probably put a stop to it. But how many influences out there literally do the proverbial running over us with muddy tires, and we allow it to happen? We have to be so careful about what we are exposing ourselves to and what we are allowing to come into our minds. Okay, the influence of the negative wants to say, oh, you can't control your thoughts. No, this is your reality. But I have a huge poster in my closet that says, don't believe everything you think. Now, I know there's some out there who may be saying, hey, you don't even know the life I have, the tough life I'm having, white knuckling this, and I feel like I'm hitting every bump and pothole, and I feel like life is just an uphill pedal, and I'm pedaling and I'm struggling. And I would say to you, you know what? There are some really tough things out there. But if we were able to hear what the universe has to say about us, the universe sees the real us and sees our potential. And what the universe wishes for us to know, how incredibly special every single one of us is, and the potential that is inside every single one of us when we push aside all the distraction, all the diversion, all the cacophony, and we decide where we want to go in life and what thoughts at the very beginning are we going to instill in our mind to be able to take us there. The universe is cheering on our ride. When we learn to tap into the inspiration that the universe actually has, they are sending us lots of guide and inspiration. And even though it's not necessarily the easiest path, they can guide us on which path is right for our development. And this truly is not a solo ride. So here are 3 skills I want to share with you. And these are game changers. They have changed and are changing continually my own life and many that are using these tools. At Level Up, we have tons of different skills, but I want to give you these 3 today, and I invite you to step into the power of each one of them. Remember, we are always moving in the direction of our strongest thought. So where are your thoughts leading you? That leads us into tool number 1. Prepare your mind in the morning. If you're going to get on your bike and ride, there's usually a destination of where you're going to go, right? You can even look at your calendar and say, okay, what's on the plan today? One of the best ways to start in the morning is meditation, or I should say even pondering. Just closing our eyes for even 5 minutes to just get still and just get present and just be able to think about the day for the day, but the overarching feel of how you want the day to go. Let me give you an example. If I'm closing my eyes and trying to quiet my mind a little bit, and I may see on my calendar that I've got meetings where I'm going to be collaborating and utilizing my creativity with other people to be able to finish a project. Today may be the thought that I lead out in my mind would be, my creativity is fine-tuned. I am receptive to others, and collaboration and cooperation is my skill. My creativity is fine-tuned. I am receptive to others' ideas, and collaboration and cooperation is my skill. So what is your need for the day? Maybe if you're going to be spending time in the classroom teaching kids, maybe it's, my patience is strong. I'm able to see my students' need, and I lovingly redirect them and teach them valuable, beautiful lessons. My patience is strong. I'm able to see my students' needs, and I lovingly redirect them and teach them valuable, beautiful skills. Okay, maybe you have a generic mantra, but maybe you have one like this is specialized for the day. You repeat that a bunch of times in this meditation or pondering time so that it's in your heart, because you've got to get the feeling in your heart. If these are just words, I'm patient and blah, 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 that's just saying that it's not tapping into the value of the neural system. It's just words until you open up that heart faucet and pour on some of that heart feeling. Okay, so why are we doing this? You're going to go out in life and everything is not going to go perfect, but you can choose your thoughts and where they're going to focus for the day. And you can choose to see the things that aren't going right, everything that's going to go wrong today, or you can choose to see, even when things go wrong, your thought process is, I am patient, I see my students' needs, and I lovingly redirect them. And even if that comes from somebody cutting you off in traffic, instead of going there, it's, I am patient and I see my students' needs and I lovingly redirect them. You can choose whether you're going to go on a tangent and off path and waste your time and your mental effort, or if you're going to stay in this thought pattern that you chose and created in the morning. And you might be saying, oh my gosh, do I have to think of a new thought every day? No, just have a mantra that is your go-to. It is your divert and detract. So every time you see that you're getting off track with your thoughts, then you break that negative thinking when it shows up, and you mind the curve, you maneuver around them, and you get back on the path. But if you don't have anything ready, if you don't have a go-to, things are going to derail you. You're going to fall off your bike. You're going to get bruised and battered, because life will do that to you if you don't have a plan. Now, these skills, these training wheels, are not ones that we're necessarily going to throw away and never bring back, because there'll be times when we get triggered by something and we are going to spiral down. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I can be at the bottom of that spiral before I even realize that I diverted off track. and now I'm in a bad mood, or I'm angry, or I don't feel like I'm enough, I've gotten off course, and I have to remember, oh, those sneaky thoughts, they got me again. But then that's when we've got to go back to that thought of, no, this is who I am. But feel it in your heart, put a feeling to it, and that way it engages the neural system in your body, and it starts to create that new neural pathway. Just a little side note about lost time. One of the derailers is distraction. Oh, I can fall in a rabbit hole. And 2 hours later, I'm like, oh man, I had some amazing things I was going to do with those 2 hours. But I found myself sucked into it. So it's not just the thoughts, just innocent thoughts of, oh, I'm just going to do this for 5 minutes. And then 2 hours later, we realize the weight of what has happened. But don't beat ourselves up. That's the learning process. We just get back on our bike and start writing again. So tool number 1 was prepare your mind in the morning, and then continue to use that mantra throughout the day to course correct. Tool number 2, these next 2 tools are absolute game changers if you will absolutely use them. And I'm going to say, I teach these tools and they're powerful. And then there's times when I take my hands off the handlebar and I think, I got this. And suddenly, bam, I get the reminder that, hey, you got to use your tools. Keep your hands on the handlebar. You're either going to take control, Miss Fancy Pants, or you're going to take the consequences. The humbled me offers you these next 2 super powerful tools. So for those of you who listen to me, and I talk a lot about the sleep cycle and how important it is that one of the functions of the sleep process is to categorize all those memories from the day. So it's literally opening up a file cabinet in our neural system and says, okay, let's file that in here, that in here, that in there. And it's creating a memory of it. All that drama and that trauma that you had for the day, unless that's cleaned up, you take that stinky laundry to bed with you and your brain files it away. And then you carry that with you until you do the work of being able to get rid of it. There are some days when you can have some bumps and bruises from your ride, and we've just got to clean that up. So now take me seriously on how powerful this next skill is. I call it find it, flip or rip it. But an easy way, it can be the dump and burn. What it is, you're going to get out of your head everything that has happened, the drama and the trauma of the day. Just journal it out. Or it can even just like be bullet notes of, this happened and I didn't like this and I didn't like this and I felt this way. And then on another piece of paper that you're going to keep, just flip the page and write the opposite or rephrasing it, opening up to opportunity. So what we're doing is we're opening up possibility. Sometimes when you rephrase something like, maybe it's like, I felt totally worthless today. When you rephrase it, it's like, I'm not worthless. They just didn't see my capacity. Or I totally blew it. I yelled at my sister, or I yelled at my child. When you rephrase that, it would be, I am learning the lessons to be able to mother my children more effectively. So you're opening the door to possibility. But then on that page where you have dumped all the drama of the day, you're going to rip that page out and you're going to rip it up. You're going to tear it up. You're going to burn it, do whatever you can to give your brain evidence that you no longer want to keep those thoughts, because you do not want your brain filing those away. You want your brain to be able to focus on those positive things or those rephrases that you came up with. Now, you may think this is, wow, that's a lot of work. It's not a lot of work. It can literally take 5 minutes. But if you don't do it, then you're going to carry that into your brain and it's going to ruminate on it and it's going to go down and attach it to different areas of your life that you don't need to have those recorded memories. It's more clean up later and it's extra baggage. It's actual weight that we're carrying. Now, this third skill, this is the coup de grace, is going to piggyback onto skill number 2. But it's so powerful for 2 reasons. One, it's going to allow you to rethink the day and give you a little bit of evaluation time. And don't panic because this is going to be awesome. Number 2, it's going to give your brain additional training right before you go to bed. And that brain is going to do some amazing things. And it's going to start shifting in your sleep. And it's going to be priming your brain to go down different neural pathways that you didn't have. Now, let's say you didn't do skill number 2 and number 3, and you just went to bed with the drama of the day. Not only is your brain filing it away, but as you look at life, it's going to bring that up as a reference. And that's not what you want. You don't want the drama and the trauma to lead out on your life. You want clean, concise, architectural, planned thoughts and direction in your life. You see, we don't need to have the world tell us how to think. We get to decide how to think, but we have to put the work into it to make sure that when we get off, we course correct. When it gets hard, we pedal a little harder and we hold on to the handlebar a little bit more. When we hit a bump and fall off, we get back on. The universe is rooting for us. We have to root for us. We have to be our biggest cheerleader. So skill number 3 is you're going to go back and you're going to reprocess the day. Go back to some things that you wish you had done differently. When you evaluate the day, oh man, I really did speak harshly to my child. Okay, go back and in your imagination, because listen, the brain does not know the difference between real and imagined. What do I mean? You can conjure up with your imagination and emotion the same neural cocktail as if it were happening. So go back in your mind and see yourself interacting with that child. And now utilize the things you would have said or how you would have reacted. See that play a little mind movie happening, how you would have done that differently. At work, when someone got congratulated for their amazing work, instead of being jealous and mad and envious, see you feeling happy for her, excited that she did that. See yourself going and congratulating her and being genuinely happy as you can be, and feel that. What are we doing? We're redoing the day, but we're also giving our mind that new neural pathway of where it can go. We're opening up the doors of possibility. If we don't do this, the doors are shut and we're left with the drama and the trauma of what it is. And then we've got this angst in our body and we're storing it in our neural network. Why would we do that when we have the capacity, the brain capacity, the neural network that allows us to not only open up opportunity, but create a life that we choose in the direction that we choose? This is big stuff. This is not little rah improvement stuff. This is science. This is science. This is neuroscience. Think about that interface with your child or your teenager, what you would have said or done differently, the hug you would have given that child that maybe in real life they won't take. But because you love them so much, you embrace them in that. And in your imagination, you see reciprocal love coming back. Doesn't matter if that's not reality, but that's where your brain goes. That's where you're going to think of that child. Not that he refuses or he's rejecting me, but that I am loving him unconditionally. Amazing things that we can replace in our mind. The new stories, the new experiences that we can create. Because then it puts us in a mindset to go a different direction. And okay, do you want the oil for your chain and the power for your pedaling? Add gratitude. When we could fill our heart with gratitude for that hard learning that we had for the day, or gratitude for the opportunity to rethink and change and recognize and course correct, when we can have gratitude for things, we put on a different lens. We literally go through our bike ride seeing the good things in life and being grateful for what there is instead of focusing on the things that are not right. Because both is out there, right? It's just the lens that we put on. It's just the way we choose to see. And that gratitude lens, let me tell you something, that magnifies things about 1,000%. You want to quantum leap your brain? Then go into gratitude. Go into gratitude right before you go to sleep. Man, the amazing things that can happen when we stay in gratitude, irrespective of what's happening in our life. We create how we think about things. and then the results of our life follow suit. Sometimes we don't know how to change our life, and sometimes it's just using simple skills, but using them consistently and trying to. I invite you, just try these 3 skills and see if you have a difference. I'd love to hear info@nobrainers.com. And I'd love you to join in with us. We have a program, levelupteam.com. Go and see what an empowerment program looks like. That's the greatest gift you can give your family. More importantly, just try doing things a little bit different if you're finding that life is a struggle. And one thing I know is when we focus here, when we change us, it's this ripple effect out that changes others. It's beautiful. It's science. It's empowerment. And it's amazing. My friends, thanks for tuning in this week. And as always, we're the creators of our life. We decide what we're going to create. Use those training wheels for your thoughts. Tally ho, my friend.